Hey guys, welcome back to the Music Hole. My name is Cole, and I'm very excited for today's episode because we're talking about the debut album from Phil Collins as a solo artist called Face Value from 1981. And you've probably seen the viral video that's been going around recently of the Twins' New Trend channel reacting to In the Air Tonight, which is probably his most famous song, and especially the drum fill that kicks in is just incredibly famous. So that's on this album, and it's probably the best song in the album, but it's a very, very good album as a whole. It's a little dated, it's not quite the slam dunk that No Jacket Required is, but it's very, very good. I think it's a must listen. So I'm very excited to talk about it with you guys. So let's dive in to track number 1, which is In the Air Tonight. Let's check it out.
Well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. Well, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. So you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. And I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord.
I know. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to the drum fill because the clip would have taken way too long. I didn't want it to be like 2.5 minutes long. So we're just going to talk about some of the lyrics, which, by the way, this song officially is not really about anything specifically. But, Phil Collins fans have kind of assumed that it's really about his divorce with his now ex-wife and how, he just really got sick and tired of the whole thing. Because when he says, I can feel it coming in the air tonight, it's basically him saying that, like, I can sense the end is near, right? I mean, I'm just growing less and less fond of my partner, of my wife, and every new day spent with her, I'm just less and less in love, and it's just one of the worst kind of situations for couples to be in, where the end is coming. But it's got to take one of you to get the courage to just end it, right? So it's very clear that at least on Phil Collins' part, he's tired of it. I don't know if the wife is necessarily tired of it. She probably is. But, it's just so weird how relationships work. I mean, basically, we're all so... we love being comfortable. We don't like, facing something that would make us uncomfortable, even if it's going to improve our lives, right? Even if it's going to fix something that we know is broken. So in other words, most people would rather stay in a broken relationship than find the courage to leave it because, it's way more comfortable. You know what's going on. You know the other person. You know what the deal is. So... you'd rather take the devil you know than the devil you don't know. But, as is the case here, Phil Collins is clearly not having a good time, and he really, really wants to end it. But it sounds like it's going to take a lot of motivation for him to just do it. So this song is kind of him psyching himself up, and just feeling the moment that it's not going well, and he's kind of gathering the courage to just, do what needs to be done. And, eventually he did. So thank goodness. I'm assuming he's happier now. But anyway, so we can all relate to this song more or less. But anyway, let's move on to track number 2, which is probably the second most famous song on the album. It's called This Must Be Love.
Happiness is something I never thought I'd feel again. Well, now I know, it's you that I've been looking for. And day by day, more and more. Well, I know what you think, you've heard it before. Don't tell me I know that this feeling inside my heart, well, you know I'm never letting go. 'Cause I think that it must be love I'm feeling. This must be love. Oh, this must be love I'm feeling. This must be love.
All right, so our guy, our hero, Phil, has left his wife and he's met somebody new who's just sending him over the moon. He's totally head over heels for this girl. But, you know, it's one of those things where it sounds like she's possibly a rebound in the sense of like he's so excited to be single again. And, you know, he's so excited that he's capable of even being in a new relationship, right? Because when you're in a new relationship, you just cut off that whole part of your life, right? There's no more excitement about dating and meeting a new girl and, you know, seeing if you connect to that girl and have chemistry with that girl. You know, all of that's gone. But now that he's newly single, you know, he gets to experience all that excitement again. So it sounds like there's the chance that he's just a little bit too excited. He's a little bit too happy. And maybe he's over-exaggerating how much he likes this girl, you know. I mean, I guess he could love her in the way that he's depicting, but it sounds like he's moving things, he's moving way too fast. You know, this is like a new relationship, and, you know, the excitement is getting to him. And, you know, you would think that somebody who was in a bad marriage and somebody who took a long time to leave that bad marriage, you'd think somebody like that would have learned their lesson, would have become a little bit wiser, and, you know, they would watch out for warning signs, right? A little bit more than people who haven't been married, you know. So Phil, I guess you could assume that he knows the warning signs, he knows what he doesn't like, he knows what he does like, and so I guess this woman he's met ticks all the boxes. So, you know, I just want him to be happy. So I don't want him to rush into something too crazy that isn't really what's for him. So anyway, that's This Must Be Love. It's a really memorable song. But let's move along to track 3, which is called Behind the Lines.
With you by your side.
like this song quite a bit. It's a little hard to figure out. I'm not entirely sure if my interpretation is correct, but I always think of this song as, behind the lines means, behind the facade of this woman who appears to be, in order, who appears to be someone who Phil should have a crush on. She appears to be okay, but behind the lines, he's finding out that there's a lot of problems with this woman, that she's, maybe depressed or has a hard time showing her feelings, or something's going on. And the problem is, as we mentioned, Phil kind of rushed into things with this new woman because he's so excited to be single again. And he's really in love with her, But the woman is kind of another hard case. She's kind of also not the best option for him, you could say. So again, he's kind of trapped in a relationship where he's not really, it's not exactly what he wants, but he's in love with her, right? So he's in this weird predicament where he wants to be with her, but at the same time, being with her is really, really a struggle. It sounds like she's having a really hard time for whatever reason. We don't know why. And so it's very possible that our hero, Phil, might end up in another bad marriage, or at least another bad relationship if he sticks around with this woman. He's basically stuck in a relationship where he's trying to fix her, right? He's trying to fix her problems, whatever they are, and who knows what the reasons are for them being there in the first place. But this poor woman, something's wrong with her, and Phil is trying to help her out, even though it's not really working out. So he's just kind of like, he's left a bad marriage and he's entered a frustrating new relationship. So it's not really working out for our guy, in other words. So poor Phil for, not finding the right woman again. And this poor woman for, struggling mentally and emotionally for reasons unknown. But anyway, let's move along to track number 4, which is a really kind of interesting song on this album. It doesn't really sound like anything else. It's a really odd song, but we're going to talk about it. So let's check it out.
Mom and Pa lived here and years before them. They tried their hardest to make it a home. Seems so long now since they passed over. Hold my children and try to make it their own. Mama, roof is leaking and the wind is howling. The kids are crying cause the sheets are so cold. Woke this morning and my hands were frozen. Oh, I tried to fix the fire, but the damn thing's too old. But me, oh, I'm getting stronger by the minute. My wife's expecting, but I hope she can wait. Cause this winter looks like it's gonna be another bad one. But spring will soon be here. Oh, God, I hope it's not late.
Yeah, I mean, this song kind of comes out of nowhere thematically for the album, right? I mean, we had this very clear relationship thing going on during the first 3 songs, but now we've got this new family where it sounds like, they're in their 40s and they had a kid, they had a daughter who I guess met somebody and she moved off with them somewhere far away. But her parents, Phil and company, are back in their small town and they're very poor. Their roof is leaking, their house is totally a mess, and they're just really, really struggling. And basically, I like this song because it's about hope. It's about how you can get through your life because you have family that you love, even though you might not be important, you might not have a good job, you might be really poor, and depressed and all sorts of stuff like that, you know, the love you have for your family keeps you going. It brings meaning into your life. I mean, think about it. Think of all of those African tribes out there who, you know, don't have much. How do they find happiness, right? They find happiness by being a valuable asset to their community, even if what they're doing isn't necessarily like, you know, super hard to do. Like, you know, like, for example, if you're an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, you know, they're just people who are providing for their family and providing for their town, providing for their tribe, you know, bringing water, tanning leather, all sorts of stuff that is very small scale, but it matters in their bubble, right? In their small bubble, they matter. And that's the only thing that really matters, is that you matter to somebody, and that you, you know, that you love people and you cherish people, and you show them that you love them, that you cherish them. So Phil Collins on this song is basically surviving mentally and emotionally by the fact that he's, you know, providing for his family and he loves his family. And I mean, what more can you want, really? Everything else is kind of just a bonus, you know, in my opinion. But anyway, so it's a really lovely song. It's a real departure from the sound of the rest of the album. But, you know, I appreciate that. But anyway, let's move along to, I think it was the hit. I'm pretty sure it was a hit. It sure sounds like a hit. Track number 7, which is called I Missed Again. All right, so we're back to the main storyline where our guy Phil, you know, as I mentioned, he fell a little bit too fast for this girl, and they dated for a while, and she's left him, right? But he's still got hope, because clearly he was in love with her, even though she was totally messed up, and maybe probably didn't even love him back, at least as much as he loved her. So poor Phil, he's single again, and yet he's going through that phase that we all go through when our ex dumps us, where we kind of hope in the back of our minds that they're going to come crawling back towards us, that they're going to call us on the telephone, right? Because this is the 80s. And, you know, they're going to call us on the telephone, and we're going to pick up real quick. And she's going to be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean what I said. You know, I love you. You know, we can work this out. We can make this work, blah, blah, blah. That's like his dream. That's all of our dreams, right? When we get dumped, is basically our ex will admit that they were wrong. So poor Phil, you know, he missed again. That's the name of the song. But even though he knows he's got to move on, he's still waiting right there by that telephone for his ex to call him back and to, you know, admit she was wrong. But yeah, that's not going to happen. So this is just a really fun song. It's a really memorable song. You know, it's kind of like a minor hit. It's not like one of the best Phil Collins songs, I would say, but it's really catchy. Definitely worthy of a single. But anyway, So let's move along to the next track, which is called You Know What I Mean?
Just as I thought I'd made it, you walk back into my life, just like you never left. Just as I learned to be lonely, you call up to tell me you're not sure if you're ready, or we're ready or not. You'll take what you got and leave, or leave me alone with my heart, putting the pieces back together again. Just leave, or leave me alone with my dreams. I can do without you. Know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, Phil is just being completely messed around with on this freaking album. This poor guy, he's finally gotten over this new girlfriend who is all messed up, right? She left him, and who knows how long it's been. It's probably been months, and he's finally stopped hovering around the telephone, hoping she would call. But unfortunately, right when he finally has moved on, she calls him back, saying, oh, she just wasn't ready, but now she is, and she's ready to try again. And our poor guy, he's finally stopped thinking about her. He's probably been crying a lot, but not really admitting that to anybody. As all of us men do, we don't like to admit when we cry. But anyway, so poor Phil, he's just completely getting screwed over relationship wise on this album. And there has to be a point where you draw the line, right? You have to say, like, okay, my mental state, my emotional, psychological state is important, and I can't just constantly go back and forth with relationships. Either they work or they don't, right? As he eventually will start talking about in a future clip on this album, either you do it right the first time, or you admit it wasn't going to work out and you just leave and you search for somebody else. Because, and I will tell you this, the one thing that we all kind of get caught up in is the idea of a soulmate. That, we met somebody and we had great chemistry and we just clicked, and they're so cute and we have so many things in common. They must be my soulmate. There's nobody else in the whole world who could possibly be like this woman, right? We get caught up in that. And it's important to constantly keep in mind, even though none of us do, that that's complete BS. There's always somebody else. Even if you don't meet them immediately, there's plenty of women who you're going to vibe with, who you're going to have chemistry with, who you're going to enjoy being with, and you're going to find them cute and sexy, right? So poor Phil, he needs to desperately keep that in mind at this crucial moment that, like, okay, yes, his ex finally called him back, but come on, there's more fish in the sea, right? There's another her, quote unquote, out there for this guy. He doesn't need to endure more of this heartbreak. But anyway, so that's You Know What I Mean. Let's move along to another single off the album, which is a lot of fun. It's track number 9. It's called Thunder and Lightning.
I never ever did believe second chance. You get just one crack of the whip and that's all. But if you play the game, you got treated right. Oh, but I'm not playing the game no more. Oh, and they say thunder, and they say
Yes, I love this song. It's so catchy. It's so memorable. I mean, the drumming is terrific. As you all know, I'm sure, Phil Collins is a famous drummer. So the drumming on his albums tend to be pretty wild and pretty cool. So I like the song quite a bit, musically and lyrically. But anyway, so as I mentioned, on the previous clip, or the previous thing, that, he's trying to keep in mind that when you're in a relationship, you give it your all, right? And if you give it your all and it doesn't work out, then it wasn't meant to work out, right? It doesn't matter how big of a crush you have on this girl, right? If it doesn't work out, you just got to move on. Because if you let this linger in your mind, that, oh, maybe she'll come crawling back to me. I mean, you're never going to get anywhere. Maybe like once in a blue moon, this works out for somebody where the girl left and then came back to them and now they're happily married, right? But for the most part, I would argue that, when you enter into a relationship, if you're not ready to give it your all, as I said, then it's just not meant to be, right? Because if you really did love them, then you would give it your all, don't you think? Because you don't want to lose them. And maybe, let's say you were at a point in your life where you weren't wise or you're having issues, and, there were a variety of reasons why you weren't able to make the relationship work. Well, that means that you've got a lot of work to do. And as I mentioned, there's plenty of fish in the sea. So just because you weren't ready for this one girl at that one time doesn't mean you're never going to meet somebody just like her in the future. So anyway, Thunder and Lightning, he's asking, is it worth giving someone a second chance? He says no. I think kind of no, right? If it doesn't work the first time, just give it up. Just move on, which is, of course, a lot easier said than done. But anyway, let's move along to the last track that I want to talk about, which I totally forgot the name of, so let me look it up. It's called If Leaving Me Is Easy.
I've kept all the pictures, but I hide my feelings so no one knows. Oh, sure, my friends all come round, but I'm in a crowd and on my own. It's 'cause you're gone now. Heart still remains, and it'll be here if you come again. You see, I'd heard the rumors, but I knew before you let me know. I didn't believe it, not you. No, you would not let me go. Seems I was wrong. Love you the same. And that's the one thing that you can't take away.
So, as it turns out on our last track, where he was like, oh, you only get one chance at it, no second chances, blah, blah, blah. That was just baloney. That was bullshit. That was just him actively trying to seem like he's got everything under control, right? It's probably what he said out loud to all of his friends and family, to pretend like he's not totally depressed by this whole situation. Because it sounds like on this song, as he says, he's been keeping all of the pictures and mementos from the relationship, and he still thinks about her all the time. He's still totally in love with her. And as he says, his heart will be there if she decides to return. So it sounds like, and plus, on top of that, he knew before she dumped him that she was going to dump him. So like, he's trying desperately to put on this show that he's got it all under control, that he's a manly man, that he's going to move on, that everything's cool, right? But deep down, I mean, he's totally crushed, you know. He might say these things out loud that sound wise and, you know, like, oh, yeah, you know, there are more fish in the sea and, you know, there's no such thing as the soulmate, blah, blah, blah. But really, he believes the complete opposite, right? He believes that she was his soulmate. And, you know, at least the one thing he can hold on to is the memories of their life together, right? I mean, who knows how long they've been together, but, you know, the one thing she can't take away, and this is of course very true, is all of the memories, the good and the bad. So poor Phil, you know, he's desperately trying to move on and to come across as somebody who's in control, but he's not in control. He's at the mercy of his feelings. So poor Phil. So anyway, that is Face Value. Just, you know, it's a little dated. You know, soft rock is also not necessarily for everybody, but I think it's a must listen. I think it's a very, very good album. Definitely a few classic tracks. And I also appreciate that he throws in some diversity with some of the songs, like The Roof is Leaking and Droned and stuff like that. So there's a lot of variety, which I appreciate as always. But anyway, hopefully you thought it was interesting. Hopefully you like a song or two. You know, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out. But yeah, that is Phil Collins for you. Check him out and have a good one.